600, okay, I don't know,
grams,
600 grams, people, are the size of a basketball. That's how much chemicals they're going to release. And you sit there and tell me if I'm releasing that every 10 minutes, it's safe,
Yes.
and we're going to be okay.
Because if the concentration on figure 7 here will show you that the concentration breaks down the further away you get.
I'm sorry, sir. I'm Native American. The government lies to me all the
I
time.
understand.
And if you honestly believe the government's telling you the truth, I got a nice brand new car out there to sell you with duct tape and zip ties. Come on now, people.
Ask a few veterans too.
Yes, ma'am. I agree. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, it was I have 3 questions. I'll just
Yes,
read.
ma'am.
It says, if it is not harmful, why does it need to be tested? And how do you know if it won't be harmful in 10 or 20 years from now? And then why do you want to do it here if it's safe, then why don't you do it in your backyard?
So to address why it was done where it is because OSU is the one that put in the bid in the project, and they're the ones that got selected. So they selected the site. They're the ones that did it. Yeah, and
Aren't they the ones that are in trouble financially?
OSU, maybe they are.
They
Maybe
are.
Oh,
Yeah.
but
There's other reasons why we're selected.
And you wonder why. You know, I don't believe a word that's coming out of your mouth, honey.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
Because you work for the government. We
I
don't
work for
trust
you.
the government.
I work for you.
No, you don't. You
Absolutely.
work for who pays
Okay.
your paycheck. You signed your paycheck. Your paycheck don't say Cindy Huff on it.
No.
I didn't sign it.
But I came
Let's-
down
let's-
here because I represent y'all. I don't represent the government.
Let's
I'm trying to give you the information that I have to make you feel better. But if you
This
don't,
woman back here knows more about it than you do, and you're supposed to be our representative.
like I said, I have a multiple portfolio of things, ma'am. Like I'm not a scientist.
Ma'am, he's just, we
And-
can't stab him right now, guys.
Yeah.
He's here
We're-
as a spokesperson.
We're here to discuss the chemical testing, not whether or not the government is going to hurt. If we continue to get off topic on issues like this, we will have to ask people to leave.
But I do appreciate that, because you know when you talk like this, I'm going to take your anger and your distrust, ma'am, and I'm going to take it back, because I represent you. I don't represent the government. I don't care if they do the testing here or not. I don't get any bit of it or anything. My concern is that you guys feel okay about this, and if we go away from this meeting and you guys don't feel better, you go on the website, you put it in your comment. I'm going to go back to Ron and say this is not okay.
How can we feel any better though, when you say one thing and she brings out a piece of paper that's y'all's paper, and it says different than what you're telling us right here.
I'm going to take it back. Because like I said, I was also briefed, like her.
And he is not a DHS representative.
Well,
Okay.
wait.
Yeah, your 2 minutes is up at this point, and
That was my question.
I also
he is
have
not from
another-
DHS.
I have
He's-
another answer to your question too. The chemicals that are being used aren't the ones that they're trying to test. They're just using the inert chemicals because they're the closest ones in particulate in the way they flow throughout the air, the same way that a biological agent would. But they use fertilizer. They're using urea. They're using things that are commercially available. Dipple, if anyone uses Dipple, they're using that also.
All right, let's go right here.
Yes, ma'am.
I just want to know, what are they going to do with the results of the test? What kind of a structure are you talking about? We live in a limestone house, so is that, what kind of a structure are they testing? What are they going to do with the results?
So it's actually interesting you say limestone, because that's one of the reasons why they picked the buildings they did, is because they're made of limestone. They picked a building that represents a house and one that represents an apartment building. And what they're going to take with these is they're going to be able to build a strategy that says, if there's a chemical or biological attack, you can hunker down in your house for X amount of hours. And that gives us an X amount of hours to come to get you. So they know if it seeps in or not.
It's scary.
It's scary. I mean, it's scary stuff. It's scary, and there's been a gap in the understanding of how well a house can withstand the seeping in of these kinds of agents, and that's why they need to test it. That the gap has been there for a while. But like I said, if you don't want it in your backyard, we'll fight like hell to get it out of your backyard.
All right,
if
let's
that's
go.
what you want us to do, we will do it.
Right over here to the gentleman. Okay, well, no, we're going to the gentleman right over here who's just called on. In a moment, we're going to come right over here to the gentleman that was called on.
I just have a couple of questions. One comment.
Yes, sir.
Question.
Absolutely.
What is the particle size? Because to me, it's all about particle size. If it's nanometers, nanoparticles, why, those go right through the membranes and everything. And I can't see anywhere in here where it talks about the actual particle size of the titanium dioxide. And the other thing is, when I Google anything, within 5 minutes I have ads and where to do better and where to do this. Why can't Homeland Security use that? Because they know the terrorists are out there. They're going to be on their line trying to figure out how to do this. Why does it not work for them too?
Page 19 is where the micron size is.
Yeah, there is micron size in there. I'm not I cannot scientist, so I don't know exactly what the sizes are, but they in their report, in the EPA report, it says that it's small enough where it wouldn't. Once it hits the boundary of the campus, you inhale it, you'd be totally fine. I mean, like the maximum level is at 100%. Once it hits the boundaries, it's at a 0.01% rate of, I don't know, the particles. Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. So then, like I said, the OSHA and EPA and all of these organizations that have been giving all you farmers guff about runoff and the smallest little things, like I said before, they aren't gonna just allow something to go into the river and just undo all of this work they've been doing. The waters of the U.S. rule. I mean, that thing is so restrictive. I know a lot of you have probably dealt with it. Like I said, the EPA is not interested in allowing those things to be undone. Ma'am? Yes, ma'am?
I have a daughter who has asthma that lives less than a mile from Toronto. I have a grandson that had to give up his naval career because of the asthma he contracted when he was on oil rigs in the Gulf. How do I know that some of that stuff with our prevailing south winds aren't going to affect my child and my grandchild? And one more thing.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to have a brand new great-granddaughter in January.
Congratulations, ma'am.
And how would that affect her if more is released or it's not as safe as you think? And I am 75 years old. My immune system has been messed with by various illnesses I've had. What's that going to do to me? Plus the general population.
So inside of the study, they do specific focus on what they call vulnerable communities: people with asthma, elderly, people with immune deficiency disorder, and young, and the very young. And they have said that the levels of particulate concentration, is that saying that right? I'm going to defer to you.
Concentrations inside.
Concentrations, once they hit the boundary of the campus, that it is so dispersed that it's not.
They're talking about 12 mile an hour winds. That's just a gentle breeze.
Well, I mean, if it, that's very true.
It's going to go further than what they think.
So they are very specific too about the conditions that are going to have to be just right for them to do the testing, and it has to do with the winds and everything else. That they have very specific parameters that they want to do their testing in, and that's one of the reasons why they're also doing it in 2 different seasons, is because of all the differences in the weather, whether it be wind, barometric pressure, all the temperature, all that stuff.
How do those chemicals know to stop boundaries?
I don't know how it is, but maybe the one scientist here can tell us how. I don't really know, but the way that they are testing, they know that when a particulate disperses in the air, because of the way that how much it weighs and all those other things, that it breaks up a certain way every time. It's not something that's different.
All right, to the gentleman right over here.
Sir.
I live on the south side of the river, about 800 meters from Highway 77.
Yes, sir.
I know what all the fertilizers, pesticides, insecticides do to that river. Every time the river comes up, you'll see nothing but bank-to-bank foam, some as big as icebergs. And then we walked down to the river one day a couple of years ago, and the river was low, and because of all the concentrations that was already in the river, it sucked all the air out of the water, and there was thousands of fish dead. From Wichita clear down to Newkirk. Thousands of them laying everywhere. And it's like, do we need to keep adding more and more? Find another way to do it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, if I still have time,
Yes, sir,
In 1940, DDT was assumed to be perfectly safe. One scientist sprayed some in a cup and they ate by the spoonfuls. 60 years later, it was found to be so horrible that they banned a worldwide ban on it. Agent Orange was supposed to be safe. Look at how many GIs and soldiers, and fathers, and husbands we lost. Vietnam is still, their children are still getting tore up by it. Their people are tore up by it.
Let's go to the lady right here.
Homeland Security has some credible threat information that's prompting them to do this testing, because I'm 71 and I've never heard of testing like this going on.
Well, it stems from the anthrax scares back in the day.
What day?
When was anthrax scare? 2000 something, when up in DC when we had a bunch of anthrax.
Late 90s.
Was it that long ago? Gosh.
Yeah, I remember, I just didn't know.
So there's no credible threat that I know of. I also don't have the clearance that Ron has, so maybe there is that they know about. But really what it is there's a gap in information about how well buildings stand up and how well protected people are protected from release of an agent in your community, and how you'd be able to stay in your house or not. So what they want to do is they want to know if there's an attack, a biological or chemical attack, whether to tell you to stay put or to move. And that's what they're trying to determine, is if they can tell you to stay put if it's safe or not, or if it's not safe, they need to tell you to move. Like, to not move as in, like, move, but like to get out of the way of the dispersal. Yes, sir.
I think a lot of people's concern is that, we have people a half mile, a mile and a half, 2.5 miles away from where this is going to be. The testing is reasonable. I think all of us would like to know if there's a biological attack, you can stay in your house for an hour and you scoop it. But I think the concern is the testing could be done in an area where you don't have a populace. You could go to the panhandle of Oklahoma where there isn't anybody around, or you could go to the deserts of Arizona.
Yeah.
And there, number one, you won't find this many people, in a 50-mile area.
Picture Oklahoma.
Sure.
So, I think that's the big concern.
Right.
And certainly it's good that Oklahoma approves all of that when they have a south wind blowing it all into Kansas. But they might feel different if they're sitting down in the middle,
I believe it is.
20 miles south of Oklahoma City.
And so the understanding of why the location was picked, like I said, is Oklahoma State University has some kind of connection to the land there, and they decided because of the buildings that they had that they could go through, and they ran through almost all the different buildings and looked through them and said this is the good one or not, and that's why they picked it. But like I said, if you're not comfortable, and this meeting doesn't make you feel comfortable, and you're not comfortable, and turn in your public comment to the environmental assessment, because that's going to inform the people. It's not just like, they're not going to think it's just some congressman that doesn't want it in his backyard. It's a bunch of people, a bunch of citizens that don't want it in their backyard.
All right, right over here to Shelley.
I have a question about it said in the report that I've read that it'll kill just the birds, okay? It might kill birds, okay? I know for a fact we've sat on the banks of the Ark City River, where my father lives, camping, and seen 35 eagles easily. We have on the walking trail, we have a nest with an eagle and an eaglet in it. We all were very excited when the little baby was born. What about our eagles?
And
They're
I live on
protected birds.
Yep.
I live on the state line road, and they come out to the fields and hunt right there, that close.
So it is in the assessment here, they do talk about the birds. I thought that was actually probably the weakest part, because the way they assessed it was that they didn't think that birds would be flying through when it was going on. So I agree with you there. I thought that was exactly.
Okay, what about cross contamination through pollination? Those plants come up next year in this ground that has been saturated. The bees come around and they go and they land on these flowers and take the pollen from here, and then they take it over to John Smith's.
Is that something that KDHE might know something about?
I can tell you, because of the concentrations are so low, that once you cross-pollinate and you start cross-contaminating, you're losing particulate concentration. So it's getting lower and lower every time. The particulate concentration, they're not even worried about it hitting the ground and going into the dirt. It's just so low.
All right. The gentleman in the back.
I'm James Kroger. I would think that the federal building code and stuff would tell us how permeable houses are. I do, but they air test the house and they build new houses and stuff like that. And houses are permeable. They have fences and crawl spaces and stuff like that. So, I mean, regular houses are very permeable.
I think that that's what they're trying to get a better understanding is also how particulates that are a little bit more concentrated, that aren't just dust, pollen, things like that, the normal things that we've already tested. A chemical agent or biological agent acts a little bit differently, and there's a reason why they have this gap of understanding. We have plenty of information about how pollen gets into a house and things like that. So they are trying to better understand how a particulate, like a biological agent, which is acts a lot differently than a like pollen and stuff. That's why they're doing that. But they should. You'd think that they would know enough about this and they would have done this testing already. But that was also another thing that we need to talk about in our committee and oversight of why this is being done now and why it wasn't done earlier.
Okay, right over here.
I scanned the 58-page document, and it related in there that 600 grams, I had no idea how much 600 grams is. It's got it equated to 1.3 pounds.
Mm-hmm.
And they're going to disperse 1.3 pounds over a 10-minute period. What I didn't see anywhere in any of those tables, how many 10-minute periods of testing are they going to use, and how much total BTK and the other one, the other chemical, are they going to use in this total test?
So it's they're doing per release. It's 600 grams of TiO, 540 of urea with a 90 to 10 concentration with the CIFB 220, and the BTK is 600 also. So this is all under 11 kilograms.
I have a question on that.
Yes, ma'am.
If the wind kicks up during that 10 minutes, are they going to start that 10 minutes over, or is that test null and void?
That's a good question, actually, and I would like to ask that.
Okay. Gentleman right there.
Thank you. Got several questions, and I understand you may not be able to answer them right now.
Try my best.
Okay, but at the same time, I would like to have, if you could get back at least somehow to be able to get the information back.
Mm-hmm.
What's the protocol? Anybody have you seen the protocol? What it is? Every scientific research experiment has a protocol that's called out, and I would like to know what the protocol is. In addition, it's already been asked the question, but also will it be published? What the journals are, and when is the expected date to be published? I mean, it's going to be information that comes out of it. Is there a marker that's being used for these different chemicals? Because sometimes they put a marker on these chemicals to be able to measure them, as opposed to the actual chemical itself. And so, is the marker going to be used?
There is a barcode on the dipple. I'm not a scientist, so I can't explain what the barcode is, but it allows them to measure it better.
Okay.
The protocol question. I'm not in the science and technology. We're on the science and technology subcommittee. So the protocol stuff, if you want to know that stuff and it's not classified in any way, I can find that out for you. And I'll pass out my card at the end of this. So if you have questions, you can email me. And if you want documentation or anything like that, if you want to know the results, as long as I can give them to you, I'll give them to you.
You're suggesting that this experiment is classified?
No, the results might be. I don't know. I can't tell you if it will or not. I just don't want. I don't want to tell you something like I can give it to you and then I can tell you later that I can't. I'm just covering my bases.
Why would it be classified? This is going out in our community.
The results would be. Well, the results of.
What the results would be.
You would probably get that when they decide what the strategy is of staying in your house or not. But if I can give you that information. I don't know if it is, ma'am. I'm saying I don't want to give you information and say I can give it to you. I'm just giving you what it may end up being. I don't know.
Shine in the back. Oh, sorry. One more. Sorry. One more. Two more. 2 minutes.
I wanted to comment that Mr. Mason, I had a comment about him. He's already put it forth. I think it's a great comment. Why here? I mean, there's lots of areas in the United States that and I understand OSU's in Oklahoma. Mm-hmm. Well, the stuff that they're blowing isn't going to stay in Oklahoma. The other thing is that also the expected part per million. It'd be interesting to know what they're expected, what the hypothesis is stating about the within 100 foot and expected part per million 1 mile away, as well as what is, you said that this was within the regulatory mechanism of being safe. Mm-hmm. What is the part per million for that? And so these types of questions could be answered. Certainly help me. Thank you.
And like I said, this was kind of short notice. We tried to get a representative of scientists from the science and technology division down here to talk to you guys, so they could give someone with a little more expertise. If that's something that you guys are requesting, that is something that we will work our darndest to get them down here. If you want to have another meeting with the DHS person,
we want another meeting with the DHS person.
then that's what I'm going to take back. I mean, I'm trying very hard to give you guys answers and make you feel better, because for me, I don't want you guys to be worried, and I don't want you guys to go home with anxiety about this. Ron doesn't want you that either. We were trying to we thought, having a meeting would give you some information and show you that we're not just trying to hide from this.
All right, Shine in the back.
My name is Shanisa Adams, and I live in Newkirk, Oklahoma. And my concern is Schlosser Indian School is a historical site, and I don't know how Homeland is getting away with a historical site. And with all these chemicals going on, why can't they go to like Lawton? There's Fort Sill, there's Las Cruces, New Mexico, there's White Sands Testing, and there's Yuma, Arizona, Army and Marine Corps. And I mean, why can't they choose that place? And if they got all this money, why don't they build a home and build an apartment building?
Well, there's also Pitcher, Oklahoma, which the ground is contaminated from their mining of lead and zinc, but there are still plenty of buildings still there. It's a ghost town.
Yeah.
Why not go there?
Like I said, Department of Homeland Security didn't pick the location. They just picked the contract, and OSU was the site that they proposed. This is the site that they had talked to with the locals that they wanted. This is the site that was okay. They do recognize that it's a historic foundation in their assessment, and that's been discussed. And so whatever laws or rules or regulations that are behind that are being followed. I don't know specifically about those, but they are talked about in this assessment, and they are made aware, and the government knows that is a factor.
Brittany.
This is no way personal to you. I understand you're just a representative.
Yes, ma'am.
You have not been able to look over this document extensively, which I think is pretty awful of someone to send you in here without extensive knowledge.
I volunteered to come here because I care about you guys, and I don't want you guys to be upset. And I don't take anything personally. I actually am very impressed with how knowledgeable you are, and I encourage it.
So, with the pesticides that you're using, you're calling it dipel. They're saying that we can go to Ace Hardware and get the same strength with the same everything. Why in the state of Oklahoma, according to page 27 of the assessment, why did they have to obtain a permit from the Oklahoma Department of Agriculture and Food and Forestry? And why does it appear that it is the first permit issued of the year for that? If it is so common, we can get it anywhere, why did they need a permit?
That's probably a state question. I don't know what the state rulings and state laws are for that stuff, but I know that the state of Oklahoma not only had their forestry people in it, they had their agriculture people in it, and all of their staff, along with the EPA. So if there is some state regulation that's been brought up, I can't tell you why.
My personal problem with the pesticide is that it's not as common as they're saying it is, and if you have to have a permit issued to you to use it, it can't be safe. And as far as the titanium dioxide in the urea powder, it says in the assessment on page 25, it talks about titanium dioxide and up to 15 milligrams per kilogram. Sorry, it's not very clear right now. That is like the finer the powder, the more dangerous it's going to be. They can't determine the size of each particle when it's so tiny. And how are they going to be able to control a fine dust? How are they releasing it? Are they going to release it all at one time and wait 10 minutes for it to absorb into the building before they run their sensor? As it's spreading to the building, what if the wind picks up out of one way and it blows it wherever else? Also, because I
For 2 minutes.
I'm going to go ahead and address the questions I've been listing in my head.
Okay, we do need to move on though, because, well, how about I come back to you, because we got Kasha in the back, please.
So I'm gonna keep going. 600 grams of titanium dioxide is what they're going to be listing. In their assessment on page 25, it says the immediately dangerous to life or health limit for titanium dioxide is 5,000 milligrams. Each release will contain 600 grams of titanium dioxide. Titanium dioxide is listed on the International Agency for Research on Cancer, as a group 2B carcinogen, meaning it is possibly carcinogenic to humans.
Yes.
And it's not without symptoms. And everything, no matter how safe, no matter how non-toxic it is, it can kill you. Water can kill you.
Sure, everything in a concentration can, but that's the difference, is that this isn't very concentrated.
But if you take the studies that have been done on mice, which 5 milligrams, 5,000 milligrams, which is 5 grams, that's when it starts to become deadly in a mouse. So then the studies, they can't test it on humans, but if you take that, that would mean that the lethal dosage, 50% of the time, for a 200-pound person, is going to be 460 grams of titanium dioxide.
But the concentration that you'd have to get for that to be deadly, you have to be pretty much open your mouth and get sprayed in the mouth with it.
What if the wind picks up? What if just because it's not going to kill somebody doesn't mean that it's a lethal dosage. It's not going to spread or not kill them somewhere.
The concentration is such that it's not a risk.
But that's also why I think they have said that they are going to let farmers in the area know beforehand, so they will not be in the field.
What about somebody driving by? What about the house that's just a half a mile north of the road where the wind is going to blow directly where they have chickens? If it's going to kill birds, it's going to kill their chickens, their peacocks, their cats, their dogs. I mean,
There's a pregnant woman across the street.
And the urea powder, that's worse.
Urea powder is, yes.
It takes 160 grams to poison a 1,000-pound cow. There are cows within a fourth of a mile of where they're going to be spraying this. There's cows that graze on shellac.
I think, but you have to understand those. Once it goes out into the air, it's not like a straight stream. It breaks up and goes everywhere.
Yes,
You'd have
the particles. It's still going to be enough to make somebody sick.
It wouldn't be enough to make someone sick.
It wouldn't be enough to know. There's been no environmental studies. There's been no
Right,
studies.
Brittany, but
These haven't been used.
everybody else needs a chance too, and it's already.
Yeah, I know. Everybody's had their hands up. I'm trying to get everybody.
5 minutes.
Right.
2-minute limit.
Right. John from the paper.
I'm just curious.
Sure, sir.
We're going to be doing a test to determine how long a person can hunker down in their house when these chemicals are down. We're going to be using chemicals that are very inert and dispersed and not going to affect anybody else. But I don't understand how this is going to give them any kind of results that they can really use to determine how safe we're going to be, because when an enemy brings in something like this, it's going to be something that would kill a diesel truck. It's not going to be something that's just going to be this dispersing thing that's not hurting anybody.